Chiron in any house it falls on in synastry always feels like a student and teacher relationship. This is because Chiron is the wounded healer and also shows your wounds that might never heal. Chiron in synastry is to help individuals learn to live with their wounds from a healthy place. In the 12th house synastry, this is amplified because one of the 12th house themes is healing your fears and facing them. Therefore, when these two individuals meet, it will be very clear that they want to fix each other. The reason as to why I didn't say heal is because most of the times these two people are so in tune with their wounds that they don't realize that they are meant to help each other. They do, however, later in the relationship understand that they have been trauma bonding, which can be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on each individual's chart, if they can handle digging deep in their unconsciousness to break habits. The habits I'm referring to for the Chiron person is that a lot of their fears, which tends to be based on their surroundings growing up in the environment where there was drugs involved, gang activity, a depressed parents, addictions, etc. Chiron person could partake in those things heavily in order to survive until they tend to find themselves. This tends to happen in the 12th house themes like spirituality or religion or a near-death experience that allows them to broaden their view on life. This makes the Chiron person turn their life completely around, but resulting in them losing friends or cutting family off. They do mourn this in private until they meet 12th houser. Chiron person can develop a savior complex, which can help the 12th houser person. 12th houser person will serve as a catalyst right back to Chiron person, the tragic hero. 12th houser breaking habits tends to form from a quick sudden change of a lifestyle by their guardian, because usually here 12th houser doesn't even live with their parent, maybe a grandmother, etc. Probably was bullied by being different or thinking different. 12th houser learns to adapt to the isolation and believes everyone should fight for themselves as they did and continue to do so. 12th houser here tends to have an old soul and doesn't get along with their peers or generation. 12th houser will learn to live in isolation and will find comfort in being creative on their own bedrooms and show their true personality, probably with people close to them or even the internet. 12th houser tends to be seen as the quiet kid in their family, but it turns out that they are a menace outside the home. Here is where Chiron person will see the 12th houser and quote unquote think, oh, 12th houser needs my saving. This is because Chiron can see elements of themselves in the 12th houser. They can see that 12th houser is just as misunderstood person who's trying to survive. Here is where Chiron person a mentor to 12th houser. In the beginning, 12th houser won't take Chiron person with their whole grand rising persona seriously, as they were never taught to seek better or had the right environment to think more outside of themselves. But as time goes on and Chiron takes 12th houser in their excursions, 12th houser will see how life can actually be better when you decide to do better. This will result in the 12th houser also losing a lot. Maybe the job they're in, where they were living, family and friends, might even get the reputation that they're acting crazy, because in people's eyes, all of a sudden 12th houser is peaceful or turn into a spiritualist, going to therapy, etc. In the beginning, 12th houser can lie to Chiron that they have changed in order to not disappoint them, or maybe fear losing the resources that comes from relying on the Chiron person. They will secretly behind the scenes cry about their life conditions, for example, depressions, etc. And when they see Chiron person, they will have the perfect script to say. Chiron person is no innocent either. Remember, we are dealing with the 12th house themes, which is related to projections. Chiron is heavily afraid that they will go back to their old ways. Therefore, they invest so much time and energy into the 12th houser to not deal that they might relapse or go back. Chiron also might not have everything all perfect in their lives, and in the beginning, they want to be honest to 12th houser and tell them this. But because they see that 12th houser needs them, or at least Chiron takes this responsibility, they portray an image that they always have the answers. Very much show that they take it very hard when they find out that 12th houser is not working on themselves. This is not to be confused with Jupiter in the 12th house synastry, where the base is defined by the hope they have for each other. Chiron in the 12th house synastry means that the base is defined by the actions and doing of things. That's why when things are not being done, they will both feel it. They might even avoid each other when they are not doing their best. Chiron can have a lot of insecurities when 12th houser is doing their own thing, even if it means that they are doing better. This is because Chiron unconsciously is using the 12th houser's presence as proof that they're good people and that their past won't define them. Therefore, they will overstep boundaries and forget that 12th houser is their own person at the end of the day. Chiron might go as far to move the goalposts for 12th houser so that 12th houser will always rely on them. That savior complex starts to be more obvious to 12th houser. This is where 12th houser will feel like they can't be honest and start to purposely not give the good image so that Chiron will let them breathe for a minute. This is the type of synastry where a couple or friends break up and people say, "He was a good man, Savannah," or "You won't find anyone else like her." And both people here won't know how to describe why they broke up. The only way they will be able to say it is by saying, "I just couldn't breathe." These two want to be so perfect for each other that they end up getting disappointed by each other so much. I also have noticed with this synastry that you might end up being emotionally and mentally abusive to each other, and people will tell you to just stay with each other just because you have managed to heal each other so much and look like you both have a peaceful life. Now, because Chiron is a wound that sometimes you will never heal, this synastry can make it so that you will never really feel satisfied until you both are completely done with everything possible to make it work. Or you will break up, and when older and more mature, you will find your way back into this relationship. Or when both individuals separate, the space they took from each other will allow the other to work on their own while working on their own. They will find it easier to apply the teachings from each other and appreciate the relationship they had. Sometimes these two can never make it back to each other because of ego. For example, Chiron will feel like 12th houser was disloyal in leaving them, but will learn that they need to work on boundaries and that they're not perfect because 12th houser brought new life perspectives and meaning to Chiron's life. Most of the times too, 12th houser can make Chiron look good in the public eye. They can be hard for Chiron to let go. As for 12th houser, they will learn to step outside their comfort zone and let others help them. When it comes to Chiron, Jupiter, Saturn, and North Node in this synastry, at the end of the day, it's always more so that a lesson needs to be learned for both people. So while it's tough, these are the synastries that are here to teach something and then move on to the next better thing, either for you alone or both people together.